The silence in the hallway *, the hallway was quiet. Not the kind of quiet you get when everyone's gone home, but the kind that comes when something's wrong. It hung in the air like heavy fog, thick and still. No one said a word, not the assistants. With their phones, not the grips, with their cables, not the producers with their tablets. They all stood there, just waiting. Or maybe pretending not to look. On the cold studio floor, under the sharp light of a wall sconce, Ana de Armas sat. Her legs were pulled in close, her arms wrapped around her knees. Her long sweater sleeves covered her hands. Her head was down. She wasn't crying, not out loud, but you could tell. Her shoulders trembled every now and then. Her hair covered her face like a curtain she could hide behind. The film set had gone quiet for a reason. Something had happened. No one really knew the full story. Some said a fight broke out during rehearsal. Some said the director snapped at her in front of the crew. Others whispered that a powerful producer made an offhand comment that cut deeper than anyone realized. Maybe it was all of it. Maybe it was just the last straw. What everyone did know was the Sana walked off set, didn't say a word, and sat down in the hallway. She'd been there for 10 minutes, maybe 15. And everyone else, unsure what to do, had kept their distance. But not everyone. From around the corner came the sound of slow footsteps, calm, steady. Keanu Reeves had just arrived. He wasn't. On today's call sheet, he wasn't supposed to be here. He'd wrapped his scenes yesterday. Still, he showed up. Someone must have called him. Or maybe he felt it. As soon as Keanu appeared at the end of the hallway, people looked his way. Not out of shock, not even out of hope. It was something else. Like when a storm passes and the sky suddenly feels lighter, he walked past them without speaking. His eyes, always kind but unreadable, were fixed ahead. He saw Ana on the floor, and he stopped. He didn't speak right away. He didn't ask what happened. He just stood there, tall, calm, quiet. Then slowly he took off his coat and laid it beside her, like a soft shield on the cold tiles. Gently, he sat down next to her. Not touching, not pressing. Just close enough so she knew she wasn't alone. A few crew members shifted uncomfortably. Someone whispered, "What's he doing?" Another muttered, "We've got to keep moving." "We've got a schedule," a voice down the hall said. "She needs to get up. We've got a scene to shoot." But Keanu didn't move. And then he did something no one expected. He stretched out his arm, not aggressively, not angrily, and held it up toward the people in the hallway like a quiet barrier. A simple gesture. But it was powerful. The message was clear. Don't come closer. No one dared step forward. Ana slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were glassy, not from makeup, but from hurt. Her lips trembled. She looked at him confused. And then her breath caught in her throat. She tried to speak, but her voice was hoarse. "You don't have to." Keanu shook his head gently. "No," he said, "but I'm staying." For a long time, they didn't speak. The hallway, still filled with people, faded into silence again. But this time, it was a different kind of silence. It wasn't awkward or cold. It was protective, sacred. When a runner tried to walk past them with cables in hand, Keanu stood. "Wait," he said. "Not now." The runner froze. "But please," Keanu said softly. "Just wait." The runner nodded and stepped back. People began whispering again, but now their tones had changed. They weren't annoyed or impatient. They were surprised. Moved, a few lowered their phones. Someone wiped their eyes. Ana finally spoke. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, still sitting. Keanu looked down at her. "Because I've been where you are," he said, "as someone did the same for me." Her lips parted, but no words came. "You don't have to explain," he said gently. "Not to me, just breathe. We'll stay here until you're ready." Ana lowered her head again, this time not out of shame, but to keep her emotions from overflowing. Her voice came out in a whisper. "Thank you." Keanu didn't respond with words. He simply sat down again beside her, and for the next hour, nothing else mattered. The producers waited, the camera stayed off, the crew stood still, and a woman who felt broken just moments ago sat on a studio floor. Not alone anymore. Not forgotten. Not invisible. And the man who sat beside her didn't need a spotlight to protect someone who mattered. A quiet room and a louder truth hallway slowly emptied, but not because someone said so. It was more like people realized they had no place there anymore. Keanu's silent stand had shifted the energy. What once felt like a workplace had become something gentler, something human. Anna still hadn't gotten up. Her back leaned against the wall now, her hands resting in her lap. Her face was calm but tired, the kind of tired that doesn't come from work, but from holding in too much for. Too long, Keanu sat cross-legged beside her, hands loosely folded. He didn't check his phone. He didn't ask questions. He was just there. That was enough. After a while, a quiet voice broke the stillness. "I didn't think anyone would notice," Anna said, staring at the opposite wall. Keanu turned his head slightly, listening. "I mean, people saw me," she added. "But they didn't see me." He waited a moment, then replied, "I saw you." Anna looked down at her hands. "You always do." There was a softness in his words. "Because you matter." She gave a sad smile, one that looked like it had taken effort to form. "Funny I forgot that." He nodded slowly. "That's easy to forget in this place." They sat in silence again. Then she exhaled hard, like she'd been holding her breath for days. "I don't even know why I sat on the floor," she said. "It just happened. I walked out and my knees just gave up." "Your heart gave up," he said softly. She blinked, surprised. "Yeah, maybe." Then her voice lowered, more fragile. "I was trying so hard, Keanu. I memorized every line. I showed up early. I even laughed at jokes that weren't funny. And still, it wasn't enough." Keanu looked at her, eyes full of compassion. "You don't have to earn your place by hurting yourself." Anna wiped the corner of her eye with her sleeve. "They made fun of my accent again, not directly, just during notes. Someone said I sounded too soft and not grounded enough for the scene, but I knew what they meant." Keanu's eyes darkened, but his voice stayed calm. "That's not a problem with your voice. That's a problem with their ears." Anna gave a short breath through her nose, almost a laugh. "You always know what to say," Keanu leaned back against the wall. "That's because I've heard it all too. People told me I didn't belong, that I was wooden, that I lacked expression. They laughed behind my back. Some even said it to my face." "How did you get through it?" she asked. "Someone sat on the floor with me," he said. She looked over at him. "Really?" He nodded. "Her name was Gloria. She was a costume assistant on my first real set. One day I broke down behind the trailer. I was 19. Thought I was done. Thought I'd failed. She found me crying and said, 'You don't leave until the story's over. Your story hasn't even started yet.'" Anna stared at him. "I never forgot that," Keanu said. She didn't speak for a long while. Her breathing was steady now, and she said quietly, "You didn't have to come today, I know," he said. "But I needed to." She tilted her head. "For me, yes," he replied, "and for me too. I needed to remind myself that what we do here matters only if we treat each other like people, not products." They heard footsteps, slow, hesitant. It was the assistant director, a young man named Cal. He looked nervous, holding a tablet close to his chest. "Sorry to interrupt," Cal said, voice low. But they're asking when we'll be ready." Again, Keanu looked at Anna. She looked at the floor, then up at Cal. "Not yet," she said clearly. Cal nodded quickly. "I'll tell them." He turned. Keanu added gently, "Make sure they understand why." Cal paused, nodded again, and left without another word. Anna leaned her head against the wall and whispered that felt good. Keanu smiled. "Speaking your truth always does." After a few minutes, Anna shifted. "I want to stand," she said. Keanu didn't rush to help her. He waited. And when she reached out a hand, he took it with quiet strength. She stood up slowly. Her legs shook slightly, but she stayed up. "You okay?" he asked. "Not yet," she said honestly, "but better." He nodded. "That's enough." They walked slowly down the hall, not toward set, but toward a quiet dressing room at the end of the corridor. Inside, it was simple, A couch, a table, a mirror with lights. No people, just silence. Anna sat down again, but this time by choice. Keanu poured 2 glasses of water and handed her one. You should be resting, she said. Sipping, this is rest, he said. This is where the real work is. Anna smiled again, this time with a little more warmth. You always make things feel less heavy, because no one should carry it alone, he said. She nodded slowly. Her voice dropped to a whisper. What? If I quit, then you quit, he said. And we go ride motorcycles. Right? She laughed softly. But he continued, only if you're walking away toward something better, not running away from pain. Her smile faded, thoughtful. I don't want to run. I just want the pain to stop. It will, he said. Not all at once, not forever, but enough to breathe again. She looked at him, truly looked. For the first time in a while, her eyes weren't full of fear or sadness, or full of something else. Hope. And in that quiet room, something shifted again. The world outside kept moving, but inside a heart was starting to heal, and someone, finally, believed maybe, just maybe, she could stand again without collapsing. The line they didn't cross next morning, the studio was unusually quiet. People walked softly. Voices were low. Even the sound of boots on the floor seemed gentler. The story of yesterday had already spread on us sitting on the hallway floor. Keanu blocking the path. The whole crew freezing like time itself had paused. Some said it was brave. Some said it was strange. But everyone agreed on one thing. Something real had happened. Inside her trailer, Anna stood in front of the mirror. No makeup yet, no costume, just herself. For the first time in weeks. She looked not at how tired her eyes were, or how pale her face seemed, but at the girl behind the reflection. The one who had come from nothing, who left home to follow a dream, and who almost forgot who she was while chasing it behind her. There was a soft knock. She opened the door to find a small paper bag. No note, just warm inside. A breakfast sandwich. Her favorite Keanu, he didn't need to knock anymore. His kindness had already entered. On set, the director looked nervous. He shuffled papers and gave fake smiles. Everyone else looked around, waiting for something to happen, maybe a meltdown, be another standstill. But Anna walked in calmly, shoulders back, eyes forward. She wasn't a problem. She wasn't fragile. She was awake now. Keanu was already on set, sitting on an apple box, sipping coffee. When she walked in, he gave her a simple nod. No grand gestures, just presence. That was enough. The assistant director called out gently, "We're ready when you are." Anna stepped into the scene. Lights came on, camera rolled. Action, the director whispered. The scene was intense. A confrontation between 2 characters, hers and Keanu's. Tension, conflict, silence. The script called for her to shout, to fall apart, to be broken. But something shifted in the moment. Anna took a breath, and instead of shouting, she spoke. Quiet, grounded. Her words didn't tremble. They floated, landed heavy. True. The room was still. When she finished the end line, the whole set held its breath. Then cut, said the director. That was it? Anna looked over at Keanu, gave her a small smile. She had changed the scene, not by force, but by truth. After the take, a makeup artist walked over with a brush. Anna gently waved her off. Not right now, she said. Softly, instead, she walked straight to a corner where 2 young background actors were sitting. They looked nervous, like they didn't belong. Anna sat with them. You both did great, she said kindly. You held the energy of the room. They stared, unsure what to say. Thank you, one whispered. I remember sitting where you are, Anna added, wondering if anyone would even notice me. I noticed you. They smiled. A little teary, dash-eyed Keanu watched from a distance, arms crossed. He didn't step in. This was her moment. Later that afternoon, they shot another scene. This one required emotional distance. But Anna didn't pretend anymore. She let the feelings come honestly, not like before, forced, controlled but open. raw. During the break, she sat beside Keanu again. I think something changed, she said. He nodded. You stopped playing what they wanted. You started telling the truth. What if they don't like it? She asked. Then they weren't your audience, he replied. She leaned back, eyes closed. The sun was setting outside the studio window, painting gold lines across the floor. I'm tired, she said. Rest, Keanu whispered. Out. But don't stop. I won't, she promised, but outside the studio. Not everyone was happy. A producer made a call that night. She's becoming difficult, he said into the phone, refusing makeup, changing lines, emotional breaks, starting to cost us time. The voice on the other end replied, then controlled the set. We tried, but Reeves won't let us push, find a way around him. The producer hesitated. That's not easy. People like him. They respect him. The voice was sharp. Respect doesn't run a studio. Money does. And just like that, a new game had begun. But this time, Keanu and Anna weren't playing alone. By the end of the week, something beautiful had started happening. Crew members started speaking up, not loudly, but clearly. Someone added softer lights. To her dressing room, without being asked, another brought her tea each morning with a sticky note. You are enough. Even the sound guy, quiet and distant, started adjusting her mic himself so she wouldn't have to touch her collar with trembling fingers. A quiet revolution was blooming. It didn't come with protests or raised voices. It came with kindness, with respect. With resilience, Keanu sat beside Anna during lunch. They didn't talk much. They just sat. You changed everything, she said one afternoon. No, he replied. You did. I just didn't let them step past you while you remembered how, she smiled. But neither of them knew behind a closed studio door a decision was being made. A decision that would test everything they'd built. A meeting behind glass Dorset was a cold morning. Outside the studio, gray clouds stretched across the sky, quiet and still. Inside, the mood matched the weather. Something had shifted. It wasn't spoken, but everyone felt it. Anna walked through the hallway like she belonged there now. Not with arrogance, with peace, with calm. It's like a storm had passed through her and now there was stillness. But in the quiet corners of the building, others were making noise. A closed-door meeting was happening upstairs. Behind a large glass table, 4 men in suits sat across from each other. One of them, the lead producer, spoke first. The energy. On set is changing, he said. Another one leaned forward. It's slowing down the schedule. We're behind 2 days. We're also seeing a rise in crew morale, said the youngest one. I've never seen them so engaged. The head producer didn't look pleased. That's not what I'm focused on. The executive beside him said sharply, the actress is acting like a director. Acting? And Reeves, he's making it harder. Well, no one will challenge her while he's watching. The room went silent. Then the oldest man in the room, the one who owned the final say, leaned back and said, we can't remove him. Not without backlash. Then remove her. Someone whispered. Too risky. Another replied. The public likes her. Social media is watching this set closely. We can't fire her without a reason. They all sat for a long moment. Finally, someone said quietly, then we break her confidence. Not with force, just subtle pressure. And that's how it began. On set that day, things seemed normal at first. The lights were ready. The camera crew smiled. Anna arrived on time, but little things started to go wrong. Her dressing room was locked when she arrived. Her script had missing pages. A wardrobe piece didn't fit anymore, even though it had before. The sound in her mic suddenly echoed, and no one seemed to know why. It was quiet sabotage, not loud, not obvious, but enough. To shake her rhythm, Anna noticed. Of course she did. But she said nothing. Not at first, she kept moving. Until the 3rd day in a row. When her chair was missing from set, she looked around holding her water bottle, tired eyes scanning the space. Everyone else had a chair. She didn't. Walked straight to a corner, grabbed his own chair, and placed it beside her mark. Here, he said. You sit. Anna gave a small smile. What about you? Fine, he said. A few crew members nearby exchanged nervous glances. Keanu noticed. He stepped back and addressed them all. Does anyone here think this is an accident? Asked calmly. No one spoke. Because if this is just a coincidence, then fine, he said. But if it's something else, if someone is trying to make her feel small, I'll walk. A heavy silence fell. He didn't shout, didn't threaten. He just meant every word. Anna looked at him, moved beyond words. But that wasn't the last of it that night. Anna received an email from a high-ranking studio executive. Short, cold, you are expected to follow directorial choices. Changes to dialogue or behavior on set will not be tolerated. Future casting decisions will be affected by this production's outcome. Anna read it twice, then a third time, and she sat still, hands trembling. Slightly, Keanu knocked on her trailer door a few minutes later. She opened it slowly. You okay? He asked. She handed him her phone without a word. He read the message. Jaw tightening. He handed it back, looked her in the eye and said, Do not reply. She looked confused. Why not? 'Cause this isn't about a reply, he said. It's about reaction. They want you to doubt yourself. They want to pull you back into the corner. Anna sat down, voice quiet. It's working. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. Keanu sat across from her. Listen to me, he said. The louder you become without raising your voice, the more they'll try to silence you. Not because you're wrong, but because you're powerful. She looked down. He continued. You didn't change this set by shouting. You did it by sitting on a floor. By being honest. And that scared them. A tear slid down her cheek. But I'm tired, Keanu. He nodded. Then, rest. But don't retreat. She nodded the next morning. She arrived early. Her chair was still missing, so she brought her own. A bright red stool from the break room. She placed it right at her mark, sat down, crossed her legs, and opened her script. People stared. She didn't. Flinched during the scene, she gave her best performance yet. Quiet, emotional, true. Not because she was trying harder, but because she was done hiding. After the cut, no one moved. A sound guy whispered, that was ... real. The director didn't know what to say, and in the corner, the studio's observer, someone sent to report behavior, owed a notebook. Then looked up and smiled, because even the ones who were sent to watch could feel the shift. You can't dim a light that comes from truth. And Anna, tired as she was, had started to glow again. The table turns quiet, Libby, the 5th week of filming. Something strange was happening on set. The tension that once crept through the hallways, like a silent fog, was now being replaced by something warmer. Small things changed. First crew members greeted each other more sincerely. People arrived a few minutes early just to chat. And laughter began returning to corners that used to feel cold. But beneath that surface peace, pressure was building somewhere else. Anna had become stronger, but not louder. She still spoke gently, still asked questions with care, still listened. But now, when she entered a room, the space shifted. Not because of her fame, but because of her presence. Keanu noticed it first, then the hairstylist, then the script supervisor, and soon, so did the executives. They watched from a distance, in reports, in quiet phone calls, in carefully worded emails. But Anna kept doing her work. She showed up. She delivered each line. She supported her scene partners. She encouraged background actors. And in every scene with Keanu, there was a quiet magic to souls who had nothing to prove and everything to give. Still, the silent resistance didn't stop. One morning, Anna arrived to find that her name had been removed from the call sheet printout on the wall. Everyone else's name was there. She looked at it for a moment. Then she took out a pen and wrote her name back in large, bold letters, not angrily, just honestly. When Keanu saw it, he smiled. That's the spirit, he said. Anna smiled back. They can erase ink, but not presence. That same day, a rumor started to spread. The film's producers were planning to replace a scene one that was important to Anna's character, because they said it was too emotional for the story's tone. Anna knew the real reason. It was the scene she had once rewritten slightly. During a rehearsal, turning it into something more honest, more vulnerable. The crew had applauded it quietly that day. Even the director had nodded in approval, but now the scene was in danger, so Anna did something bold. She asked for a meeting, not with the director, not with the producer, but with the entire creative team. They agreed barely in the conference room, and sat at one end of the table. Calm, prepared, Keanu entered a few minutes later and sat beside her without a word. The lead producer leaned back in his chair. "You asked for this meeting. Let's hear it." Anna didn't raise her voice. "I'm not here to fight," she began. "I'm here to protect the story." Some smirked. One looked at his phone, another sighed, but she kept going. The scene you want to cut isn't about emotion. It's about truth. It shows who the character really is when no one's watching. You take that out, and she becomes just another placeholder in a plot. One of the executives interrupted. "Audiences want entertainment, not therapy." Anna turned to him. "Then you don't know the audience." The room went silent. Anna's voice remained steady. "I'm not asking to be special. I'm asking to be honest. That's all. If we don't tell the truth, we're just decorating lies." Keanu spoke then, his voice low and calm. "She's right. And if the scene goes, I go." Gasps around the table. The producer leaned forward. "Are you threatening the film?" Keanu looked him straight in the eye. "I'm protecting it." After a long pause, the executive across the table asked, "Do you really think people care about one scene?" Keanu replied without blinking. "I think they care about stories that matter, and so do we. Or we should." No one argued further. 2 days later, the scene was back on the schedule. Anna shot it in one take. When it was over, the room was silent then. A single crew member clapped, and another, then the rest followed. Not loud, just steady, meaningful. Anna didn't smile. She didn't bow. She just looked at Keanu, and he gave her a simple nod, the same kind he gave her in the hallway all those weeks ago. Afterward, as they sat on a bench outside the studio, Anna leaned back, watching the clouds move slowly above them. "Do you ever feel like all of this still isn't enough?" she asked. Keanu took a moment, then said, "Sometimes. But then I remember it's not about being enough for them. It's about being whole for yourself." Anna turned toward him. "And if we break again, then we sit back on the floor," he said. "And we wait, we breathe, and we rise again." She looked away, her voice soft. "I never knew that being kind could be so powerful." "That's why they fear it," Keanu replied. That night, Anna opened her notebook for the first time in weeks. She wrote a single sentence. "Kindness is not weakness. It is quiet armor." And somewhere deep inside her, a fire that had been dim for too long began to burn again, not loud, not angry, just steady and strong. The moment that Stayad's final day of filming arrived with a strange stillness. No rain, no wind. Just sunlight spilling across the pavement as the crew pulled cables. Adjusted lights, and quietly prepared for the last scene, Anna stood near the edge of the set holding her script close, but not reading it. She didn't need to. She already knew every word by heart. It's not just the lines in the script, but the words she had written in her soul over the past few weeks. Words of fear, pain, kindness, truth. She looked around the set and saw faces she knew now. Not just by name or job title, by the quiet kindnesses they had offered her during the hardest moments. The costume girl who left a flower in her trailer. The lighting guy who stayed late to adjust a light so her eyes wouldn't squint. The assistant who whispered, "You got this," before every emotional take. And of course, Keanu. He wasn't just a co-star anymore. He had become something else. Not a savior, not a protector, but a presence. Stillness. The kind of human who doesn't just help you stand, but sits with you until you're ready. Today, they'd one last scene together. It was a scene where their characters said goodbye. But everyone knew the weight of it went deeper. As the camera rolled, Anna looked at Keanu across the quiet set. "What if I'm not ready?" her character asked. Keanu single quotes, then said, "Then I'll wait." Anna's eyes glistened, but she didn't force the tears. They came naturally. When the final line was spoken, she stood still, heart pounding, breath held. "Cut," the director said softly. No one moved. Then the clapping started. Not thunderous, not showy, but deep. Respectful, heartfelt. Anna blinked. Through tears, as the entire crew stood, even the camera operators put down their rigs. Even the studio observer clapped in Keanu. He simply smiled. Not proud, not surprised, just present. After the wrap party, which Anna barely stayed for, she returned to her trailer. It was quiet now. Most people had left. She sat on the couch, hands folded. She had survived. More than that, she had changed something. A soft knock came. She opened the door. And there he was. Keanu held something in his hand. It was the script. Her copy, but the cover was different. Someone had written across it with a silver pen, "To the one who refused to shrink." Anna looked up at him. "You?" she asked. He nodded. "You earned it." She opened the script and found a folded paper inside. Note. Handwritten, it said, "The day you sat on the floor, you taught the rest of us to stand. The day you didn't fight back, you showed us what real strength is. Thank you for not walking away. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still belongs here." Keanu couldn't speak. Her throat tightened. Her eyes filled again, but she didn't look away this time. "You saved me," she whispered. Keanu shook his head. "Saved yourself. I just didn't let anyone step past while you did." She hugged him then. Kind of hug that doesn't need words. And for the first time in a long time, she felt whole. Months later, the film premiered, but the headlines weren't about the movie. They were about a moment caught behind the scenes. A leaked photo of Anna sitting on the hallway floor. Keanu beside her, hand up, stopping people from walking past. Someone had captured it without them knowing. The photo went viral, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. "This is what support looks like," one headline said. Keanu didn't speak for her. He stood beside her. Read another. People started sharing their own stories of quiet breakdowns and the people who sat with them in silence. Anna never tried to explain the photos. She didn't need to, and Keanu, when asked in an interview why he did what he did, he said, "Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is nothing at all, just sit and be there." Anna's career didn't just survive, it soared, but more importantly, she knew something now that she didn't before. Success isn't measured by applause. It's measured by how many people you helped stand when they almost gave up. And that, more than anything else, was the story worth telling.